Hi, welcome back to 12 Step Up. My name is Richie. Once again, we focus on 12 step programs. I'll tell you now so you don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe. It's very important. That's how we get the word out. Uh, Jenny, hi.
Hi.
How are you? You look like a
I'm
robot.
good.
Hi. Hey, how much sobriety time do you have?
6.5 years.
6.5 years? That's badass. Um, how was your experience? Rather, why don't you tell us a little bit how you started drinking or using?
Before. I grew up in a physically and mentally abusive home. So I just kind of felt like I was never enough or loved the way that I should. With that being said, it's your parents go, you didn't have nothing, or sorry, I'm stuttering here. Your life is nothing like what mine is. They always referred back to as like, I still have a better life than the way they grew up. And so that was kind of like their mental crutch, even though like friends of mine had never been abused the way I had been abused. And so with that being said, when I got of age, I started hanging out with friends, and friends became my new family. And before I knew it, I was drinking and doing ecstasy was the first drug I did. And the first time I did it, I took
Um,
14 pills.
You
Okay.
took ecstasy.
First time I drugged, I took 14 pills of ecstasy, Blue Dolphin. I
First
remember
time you took
that.
14 pills of ecstasy.
Yes. And it was like everybody was high, and I told them no all night, no all night. And then finally I gave in and I said, yeah. And I took one, and everybody was just vibing, and I didn't feel that way. So I took another, and I still didn't feel the same way they did. And so I just more and more and more and more and more. And that was my first experience with drugs, was I just had to have more. And the next day was graduation, and I was top of my class for dental assisting. I had a job ready to roll coming out of high school. And so I was selected to be, I was called the Smile Mobile, and basically less fortunate families and kids would come, and the top student would get to work on their dental, on their teeth. And I showed up higher than a kite. I hadn't slept all night in my hot pink fuzzy slippers, and I lost my dental degree that day. And so that was my first experience with drugs. And after that, I just continued to just be super abusive with alcohol and drugs moving forward. And I began to experiment with cocaine and everything else you could think of. And I finally decided I was going to move away from Tri-Cities and start fresh after I had Lily and go to school. Always wanted to go to beauty school, and so I wanted to go to the best of the best. Couldn't just go to one here in town, so I moved to Seattle, and I was struggling with making ends meet, living on a friend's couch. And um, I was trying to make money and I couldn't. So I took a leave of absence from school. I told them that, my mom had cancer and I needed to go take care of her. And instead, I went down to California to trim bud with the Gypsy Jokers. And we were supposed to get paid in money. So I was going to have all this money when I came back. And instead, they didn't pay us in money. They said, the top trimmers get extra. So I'm like, sweet, I'm in beauty school. I can, cut like crazy. So instead, I ended up coming back with 28 pounds of marijuana in my trunk.
That's what's
Black
up.
Audi Washington license plates coming from California to Washington during trimming season was the scariest thing ever. When I got back to Seattle with all this weed, my roommate that I was living with was no longer there. My key didn't work in the door. And the upstairs neighbor comes out and says, all your stuff is up here. And I'm like, what? I don't even know these people. So I winded up moving in with these people upstairs that I didn't know. Thank God they smoked weed, so I was able to pay my way in weed. So then I started looking online on ways to make money. And one of the girls at school, because school was 6 days a week, said she was working for, it was a model and talent distribution company. So you do promotion for liquor and beer demos. I was like, I could do that. So signed up to do that. And the first thing was Mountain Dew Pepsi Kickstart with Russell Wilson. And I was like, I got this. I'm a big person. I'm going to get to be with celebrities. Like, this is my grind. Then I got the paycheck and it was horrible. I was like, what the heck is this? So I asked the girls, like, how do you got Louis Vuitton bags and all this stuff? And they were like, oh, well, meet me here and I'll show you how to do it. So I showed up to this house or apartment. And when I walked in, there were sheets hanging from the walls, and behind each sheet was a massage bed.
Mm.
And so I looked at those and instantly I knew, like, you need to go, you need to not do this. And I'm like, instantly I knew, like, it was something I shouldn't be doing, but I jumped on it anyway. So I started working, doing massage, rub and tug, with massages with a happy ending. And, it sucked, but I was getting paid good money. So I was just like, nobody will ever know. So I started doing that and lying to everybody, saying, I was making all this money, doing other modeling jobs and stuff. And then before I knew it, I got really drunk one night and couldn't find blow, and I started trying meth. And meth took my life. Like, I got really bad into, before I knew it, I was being trafficked. I obviously got kicked out of school. And so now I'm living this secret life in society in Seattle. And then I thought, I was doing parties on yachts. So I'd get an out call and I'd get $1,400 to go out and party with a bunch of people from Microsoft and Boeing. And I thought I was the shit. I was different because I wasn't the $99 special on Backpage. I was valuable. I was known as exotic. And those are the type of words that traffickers use. They make you feel like you're special and you're exotic and you're one of a kind. And now I'm like, I'm not off of a Happy Meal. Right. I'm not a prize. Like, so anyways, life, became unmanageable. And just like anything else, I lost everything, began living in my car. And I decided I wanted to take my own life. And when I tried to do that, laying down in the middle of the road on a highway, a cop pulled me out of the street and told me that I had a life worth living and that my life was not owned by just me. It was owned by the people that love me. And he planted a seed in my heart that day. I began going to church high and loaded, and I felt like God was calling me into something. I just didn't know what it was. And my mom and everybody was done with me. They thought it was nuts, but God was calling me to get baptized. And so I went to the dope man's house and got a sack of dope and told them, this is the last time I'm going to get dope from you because I'm getting baptized. And they were like, you're crazy, But it was so bad that I had to get loaded so that way I wouldn't fall asleep for days on end and miss getting baptized. And so I did. I smoked meth all night, all day that morning, and I was freaking out to go get baptized. And I had Lily, and we showed up at the park to get baptized on August 21st, 2016. Baptisms were at 4:00, and of course, because I'm a tweaker, it's 4:15, and I'm late, and I already missed it, And I told Lily, nope, not going to do it. And she got out of the car, put her hands on her hips and said, Mommy, you're going and you're going to meet Jesus. And I walked down and they were still doing baptisms. I walked in the water and they tipped me back. And my entire broken life flashed before me. And from that day forward, I have been sober since.
Fuck yeah. So your recovery has been I always ask people about their recovery, like it has been easy, has been hard. I know about my recovery is up and down because I'm human.
Yeah.
How has your recovery been?
I would say the same. It's like this roller coaster. You're like, woo, oh shit, woo, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, this is the best day of my life. Oh, it's literally a roller coaster. There's so many blessings in recovery. Like the first year was pretty hard, but at that same time, I was finding out who I was and still dealing with like mental psychosis of the meth and then fear of they're going to find me. I was trafficked by a woman, so they call them a madam, and I was so scared that they were going to find me. And that's just the tweaker in me because they probably weren't looking for me. They didn't give two craps if I left the business or not. But to me, it was terrifying. And so I always thought I would hear things or see things, or but slowly and surely, I was working a 12-step program, and my sponsor, she just took me under her wing and didn't let go. Um, and she believed in me, and she pushed me to find a better me inside of me. And I'll forever be grateful for that woman. And I was going to church and I signed up to start doing slides on a tech team, and I am not a tech person. And they found me a job at an apartment complex, and I showed up for an interview, didn't even know what it was for. They said, "You're hired." They've never hired anyone with a background. I had 3 domestic violences and 2 assault charges, and they hired me across the company board, never hired nobody. And they hired me part-time. We'll start you off, see how you do. And I was promoted 4 or 5 times in the 5.5 years I worked there, up to assistant manager. And those are blessings, that come in recovery. But at the same time, fighting to be more, like I overcame this, so I know I can do more. And so to like not get stagnant in where I'm at, because if I can get to here, then I know I can get to here. And so it's about like making goals for yourself, and once you make those goals, making a new goal so you can become more, because we can't limit ourselves to this like little box of like, this is what I want, and once you get there, then okay, I achieved it. It's about making more. And in doing that, you start going, okay, I'm becoming stagnant. Okay, I'm doing well. But within that, I lost my mom, I've lost my grandma and my grandpa, and those were really hard losses, and I didn't have to use over them.
Right.
I had friends and family that were willing to be there for me and help me get through that. I have, the material blessings that come with sobriety. I have a bank account that has money in it. I actually have like 7 savings accounts because I'm super weird like that. They all have their own itemized things. You can only pull it out for that thing, but I never thought I would have that. I purchased a new car with a big down payment that I never thought I could do. I felt like I was getting stagnant in my job as a property manager. And so I decided to become a real estate agent. And, here I am 2 years later. And again, not something I ever thought I would do.
So let's talk about, like, for example, you have just recently, um, rather not just recently, but during this conversation, you said you had 2 previous careers, and then now you're on a third one.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that,
Yeah.
actually. You know what I mean? But you're very successful in this career, and I know you're pretty good at it. Now, this daughter of yours, she must be really proud of you.
Yeah.
And you're married. Those are all blessings, man. Those are all blessings, and I know you are a very uh, religious person, which is good because you can see it all over you. And you guys have to know her. She's awesome. She's like 100 miles per hour all the time, and but I mean that's why I like her a lot, because I'm like that too. You see me sitting here most of the time just chilling, but my brain is going crazy. So I'm listening to her story, and basically I'm hearing a lot of hope. I'm hearing a lot of hope because a lot of women. We just had this interview with someone that's gonna. You'll see it tomorrow. I'll release that one tomorrow. But um, I know for women it's really difficult to get sobriety and stay in sobriety. So, and then for you to be working your steps to overcome everything, you take one step and you don't remain stagnant, and you just keep going on and going on, and that's I mean that's in itself is very it's badass, and a lot of
Thanks.
people can learn from just themselves and just trusting themselves. Um, let's talk about your hardest moment in your active addiction.
My hardest moment in
Yeah.
active addiction.
I mean, you don't have to be detailed about it, but
Um, well, um, being I'll just, a meth addict and a prostitute. I mean, let's just put it out there. Um, there was a lot of scary stuff that happened. There was a lot of abuse and rape, being beat up and left on the highway on I-5 at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I was treated like trash by the end of it, and I believed it. Um, I was in mental psychosis. I was seeing things that weren't there. I was hearing things that weren't there. I would be in a car and say it's on fire and your daughter's in the trunk, and I would pull over and like freaking out and look in the trunk. I would be. My mom had a RV behind her house, and she said I could stay in it, and I would see it literally on fire with demons everywhere as my daughter is laying next to me, and hearing God, so I thought, saying that she's going to make it and I'm not, and that's scary, I just like literally, I guess I couldn't pick one thing,
Yeah.
boarding up my windows and screwing my door shut, calling my sisters saying, why are you outside my window? And they're like, we're not there. Like,
So then let's talk about one of the most happiest moments in your recovery.
happiest moments in my recovery. Oh gosh, there's so many of them.
I know.
I would say when I got to marry my husband. There is this song that says, "You will have a bride free of all her guilt and shame," and that I heard that song when I was using, and I wanted that so bad. I wanted to be a bride free of all my guilt and shame. And Kenny asked me to marry him, and he didn't know everything with the prostitution and everything. Like, he knew I was doing stuff. Like, I would be dressed up for work and have him drop me off, but really it's a fake work uniform, and he was dropping me off to do, a gig. And so I needed to tell him that before we got married. And I remember sitting him down, and I was so scared that he wasn't going to marry me. And he was like, I'm okay, I know. And I'm like, okay, I'm like bawling. But anyways, I got to walk down the aisle free of all my guilt and shame and no secrets. I had no secrets. And that was so freeing.
So you know what's amazing is a lot of us that are married are. I speak for myself. I married my best friend, and I met her in recovery. Um, and I've interviewed a lot of people that have married their best friend in recovery. Um, how is how is the relationship? Are you guys like because he works his recovery and you work yours?
Sometimes I try to work his for him.
There you go. There you go. I'm sure it's vice versa. Right? I mean, I know when Tiff and I got married, we would each say, "Hey, call your sponsor because I'm taking her inventory and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm taking your inventory," or she would take my inventory and tell me to call my sponsor. How was your relationship? Was it like that?
Not necessarily. I feel like I'm a loudmouth. Most of you that know me, I'm super out there. Like, I will tell you anything. I don't care. Like, no filter. Like, if you want to know something about my life, I will tell you. I'm an open book. Kenny, he's not so much. He's very reserved. He's private. So we're like complete opposites like that. So I am heavily involved in the program and helping other women who have been trafficked and are also on the road to recovery. Where Kenny is, his sole goal, what he wants in life, is to be a provider for me and Lily, and so he just works and works, and then he'll go to his meetings or whatever. But I have never, except for me telling him he needs to go to a meeting, and then he'll be like, work your own program, and I'll be like, well, somebody's got to work yours if you're not, But I don't know. I work my program, he works his. There has been some rough stuff that has happened, yeah, but it's pretty awesome that I can go, hey, because of the program, it gives us these tools that we can go, hey, you're not doing that. And when we got married, we said we would do that.
Mm.
So it gives us accountability and something to lean on and not go, what? You just pulled this from left field. Like, no, this was a foundation for us from the beginning. So, we got to get back to that.
So Tiffany and I, we seem to gravitate a lot towards older couples that are like in recovery, because that's something that we strive for. You know what I mean? Like that's a goal of ours to, one day be that couple.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of couples around here that are like that, and we get to look up to. Here's a question I ask everybody. It's really not that tough a question, but what would you say to any woman or any man out there that is looking for sobriety, that can't find sobriety, that doesn't know how to get to sobriety, that doesn't have any idea what sobriety is? What would your words of encouragement be? I just heard myself like trip over the word. That's funny.
You're worth it. Like, you are worth it, and you do deserve to be happy, joyous, and free. And not to listen to your past trauma or life circumstances to dictate who you are. And that there is help if you're willing, keyword willing, to do the work. Your life will be transformed, and it's not easy. You're gonna fall, you're gonna hit your face, but you've got to just keep looking forward and keep your head up and keep pushing, because there will be victory. I mean,
Yes. That was awesome. So in a nutshell, how would you, no, that's not what I'm trying to ask. Um, do you still help women, right?
I do. So,
Yeah, I was about to ask like how do you help women, but that was not how I wanted to come out.
oh, that's okay.
So you still help women?
Yes. So, Mirror Ministries is a local nonprofit that is near and dear to my heart. They help women, children, even boys come out of sex trafficking, and even drug addiction, the things that come with that. And so when I got sober, that was something that I wanted to do. I knew that God saved me and helped me that day in the water, because He was going to use me to help other women. And just like the program taught me, it's an alcoholic can help another alcoholic, an addict can help another addict. So a victim of trafficking is going to be able to help a victim of trafficking. And so that's what was near and dear to me. I signed up to help Mirror Ministries and decided to start a recovery program with them, and have been doing that for over 2 years now.
Hell yeah.
So I get to help other women, and I get to be a voice for them. I get to show them, like, we are not labels of our past trauma. We do not have to be itemized as that, and we are more than that. And if I can get to where I am today, then so can you.
That's right.
And some of them have never seen that before. They've never seen restoration in another woman like that. And so it's pretty cool that now I get to be their trusted advocate and help them on their journey.
Are you involved with any more programs, church or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I go to church. I volunteer at church. I was a greeter on the tech team for 5 years. I was a key holder for a home group for a long time. I feel like in your journey of recovery, different things will come and open up, and you'll kind of implant yourself into those at the time being, and then God will either lead you on another path or leave you where you're at and grow you.
Jenny, it was a pleasure to interview you.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing this. Stories like yours are the reason why we do this, so that other people can hear hope. And to me, you give hope. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Guys, once again, this is Richie. Please like, share, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys want to know more about Jenny's story, hit us up, email us, or yeah, follow us on Facebook, 12 Step Up. You can go ahead and ask us any questions. Would you like anything else? Would you want to say anything else?
If you or someone you know is currently struggling with being sexually exploited, just let them know that they are not alone and there are resources out there. And if you need help with that, feel free to comment and I will reach out to you.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.